Welcome to my book club presentation. My name is Jana Sheffield. Throughout this presentation, I will discuss the books I chose for my first grade book club, vocabulary, luminary passages, discussion questions, a reading comprehension strategy, and a writing strategy. My book club was developed for first graders and focuses on the subject of science, specifically related to weather. The applicable standard for these books states that students will demonstrate an understanding of the patterns of weather by describing, recording, and analyzing weather data to answer questions about daily and seasonal weather patterns. The goal of the books chosen was to foster a sense of questioning and discussion amongst the students regarding the patterns of weather. The anchor text I chose for my book club is titled Mama, Is It Summer Yet? And this book was written by Nikki McClure. The second text in my book club is titled In the Yard and was written by Dana Meechan Rao. The third text is called Plants in Winter and was written by Jenny Van Burst. And the fourth text I chose for my book club is called Snow, and it was written by Marion Dane Bauer and John Wallace. These four texts were chosen by researching weather-related science books that match the readability level of first graders. The ATOS ratings for each book were found on arbookfind.com. The vocabulary words chosen for my book club were sprout, bear, buds, root, swallows, blossom, unfold, bold, ducklings, and honeybees. I chose words like bear, buds, and root because they are multiple meaning words, and these words lead to great discussions within the classroom. Words like sprout, blossoms, swallows, ducklings, and honeybees were chosen for their scientific connotations, which allow for discussion of their meaning within the realm of science. Unfold and bold were chosen because they are words first graders have likely heard or are familiar with, however, they may not know the true definitions of the words. The research-based method used in explicit instruction of these vocabulary words is specific word instruction. Specific word instruction will occur before, during, and after reading the text. This type of instruction can deepen knowledge of word meanings and help students understand what they are reading. The following readings are the luminary passages chosen for my book club. Not yet, my little one, but the squirrel is building her nest. Soon her babies will be born. This is on page 11 of the anchor text. I chose this passage to help students decode the word squirrel because students find this difficult to read. The next passage says, Not yet, my little one, but the swallows are singing. Soon warmer winds will blow. I chose this passage to highlight the alliterations. Swallows are singing and warmer winds. I plan to highlight the alliterations in this passage by conveying emphasis of tone when reading the alliterations and practicing this with choral reading. We discussed the emphasis of tone and how to emphasize alliterations in reading. After the students understand the concept of emphasizing their tone, I called on some of them to repeat the reading individually for the group. The next passage says, Yes, oh yes, my little one, the honeybees are in the flowers. The sun is warm on your round belly. The berries are juicy and sweet. I chose this passage to give the students the opportunity to practice reading sentences that end with exclamation marks to make sure that they are read with excitement. We did repeated reading, choral readings of this passage to ensure students were reading with fluency and including excitement in the tone in proper places. And the last luminary passage chosen says, Some trees drop their leaves in the fall. Why? Leaves make food for trees, but in the winter, some trees do not make food. In this passage, I highlighted the question mark and discussed how to change the tone of your voice to sound like a question. So we practiced reading this passage chorally as a group, and I gave examples of other sentences that ended with a question mark. And students were called on individually to convey the tone of a question while reading the example sentences. Next up would be the discussion questions. So these are the discussion questions that I chose for my book club, and I'll just read through these quickly and give you the answer. What is the phrase repeated throughout this book? Mama, is it summer yet? And that is at the remember level of Bloom's taxonomy. What season is it at the beginning of the story? The answer is winter, and that's at the understand level of Bloom's. What evidence do we see in the story to let us know it's winter? Mittens, scarves, bare limbs on the trees, those are all in photographs within the book. And that's at the understand level of Bloom's. Why do you think the child keeps asking their mama if it's summer yet? Well, he's ready for summertime. That's at the apply level of Bloom's taxonomy. What happens to the leaves on the trees in the fall season? They fall to the ground and they leave the branches bare. That's at the analyze level of Bloom's. What are the mama and the boy doing in this section of the book? They're planting. That's at the understand level of Bloom's. Why can't you plant seeds in the winter? The ground is hard and it's cold. That's why. That's at the understand level of Bloom's. What do seeds need to sprout? Soft dirt, water, and sunlight. And this is one of the questions that was applicable to multiple texts, and this is at the apply level of Bloom's. How do we know that winter is over in this section? Well, in the photos, they're not wearing winter clothes anymore. They're planting seeds. The ducklings are out. Leaves are sprouting on the branches. This is at the analyze level of Bloom's. And why do you think they're putting on rain boots on page 21 of the anchor text? That's so their feet don't get wet in the boat, because it's not that it's raining, it's that they're in the boat. This is at the analyze level of Bloom's. Moving on, what is the first season portrayed in this section? Springtime. That's at understand level of Bloom's. What evidence is seen to let us know it's springtime? Well, we see photos of flowers blooming. That's at the apply level. How do the trees change throughout the 4 seasons? In the fall, the leaves begin to change colors and fall to the ground. In the winter, the trees are bare. In the spring, the leaves and blooms start coming back. And in the summer, fruit appears on fruit trees and leaves turn bright green. This is at the apply level of Bloom's. And how do we know that the mama and the little boy are excited about summertime? The author uses exclamation points when the mama is telling the boy that summertime is here. This is at the analyze level of Bloom's. And finally, what do you notice about the animals in this last section of the book? There are more animals being active in the summertime. This is at the analyze level of Bloom's. The reading comprehension strategy that I taught my students is to simply ask questions. This is a research-based strategy. Asking questions before, during, and after reading text serves a variety of purposes. It helps with checking for understanding, it helps students in questioning the author about the writing, and it helps in figuring out relationships between ideas and information within the text. The writing strategy activity I taught is a research-based activity, and it's called the explicit writing model. This strategy is used by guiding students through the process of writing instead of having them copy something that's already written. So an example would be, instead of writing the morning message on the board, I would walk the students through the process of writing a message. So I had my students gather on the carpet and instruct them to think about what I would normally write on the board. And I asked questions to lead them to the correct answer. So normally I write the date. I would write something like today is Friday. So I may ask the students, okay, if I want to write today is Friday, what does today start with? How do we know how to spell today? Sound it out together. And so I did this with everything that I'm writing, to explicitly walk them through my thought process when writing. So I guided the students through the process and explicitly modeled exactly what I was thinking. And that concludes my book club presentation. I hope that you found it informational, and thank you so much for watching.